All right, hello everybody. Hello, 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 hello. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. So I'll let everybody come in for just a second. And then we'll get started. Hello, hello, hello. So glad you're here. So glad you're here. We are going to get started. So let me see how many people have made it in. So much to talk about today. Okay. Hi, everybody. All right. I hope you invite somebody to come hang out with us and join us. This is the fun part. Because nobody likes to talk about mindset. I like to talk about mindset. Nobody else wants to talk about mindset. They don't see the value in it. It's okay. It's okay. So we're going to go ahead and get started so I don't run too far over tonight. Okay. Let's see. Hello, hello, hello. I'm glad you're here. All right. Oh, I got to share in another room. Sorry. Hold on just 1 second. I always forget that. Un momento, por favor. Stop sharing. Just a minute. Un momento, por favor. Since this pops up. Oh, what's happening? Why is it not popping up? There it goes. I took 20 attempts. It was delayed. Okay. Sharing a group. So I invite you, if you're not part of eCommerce Academy, that you should join eCommerce Academy. We have a bunch of fun stuff that we're working on for the new year. And I got an amazing team that we've been building up over the last month so we can maintain and sustain the habit of consistency, not just in your business, but in our business too. So we got some pretty cool stuff we're rolling out, and I got an amazing team behind me, or in front of me, or beside me, I guess is the better thing to say. All right, so it's connecting. It just takes a minute for it to connect. All right, so I think it's live in the group. So I am going to go back to the slides. And I think people are messaging me. All right, let's do this. We're ready. I'm ready. Invite somebody to join us, because there's somebody out there that you know is doing e-commerce and they're like, it's not working out for me. So we want to help as many people as we can. Let's get started with part 2. So today, e-commerce planning 2022, that is what we are focused on. Day 1, part 1 was all about reset and your mindset and your thoughts, how you think about your business, how you think about yourself, how you think about your life. There was a lot of stuff that happened over the last 24 months. And so from an emotional standpoint, like, I know our team was devastated. There's a lot of stuff that has happened within our team. And it's been rough. The last 24 months, really the last 12 months have been the roughest. But just trying to deal with the loss of a team member, a loss of a team member's spouse, like a loss of another team member's father, like, it's a lot for our team. So mindset, just trying to, mourning takes time. Dealing with the adjustment within the business when you have multiple team members mourning is a little tough. And so I had to shift my mindset outside of being empathetic and sympathetic, but just working through, okay, how do I run this business now? It has to be run completely different because, we're all in different spaces. So your mindset and how you think about your business, how you run it really does matter. And I want you to go back. The first part of it is probably what you were most interested in. But as you get further into it, if you want to skip the first 10, 15 minutes, go ahead. But the rest of it is a great exercise to help you kind of think about where you are in your business and think about your mindset and maybe better understand why you make some of the decisions that you make, and why your business is running the way that it is, because it's running the way that it is because of you. Really, if we're going to be honest, everything about whatever happens in our world is because of the decisions that we make, good, bad, or indifferent. So today we're going to talk about focus, and we're going to refocus on our business and what we need to do to set ourselves up for success in 2022. We're going to establish our priorities and organize our business in such a way so that we are setting ourselves up for success. So today is about refocus and priorities. And I hope that you'll come back tomorrow. I hope that you'll invite somebody to come back tomorrow so we can talk about building and scaling your business for 2022. So the goal, the vision, the dream is that, hey, in this business, the stuff that we do, we make that money that, while we're sleeping. So we're not doing a lot of stuff. We have a bunch of passive income. Well, it's not really passive because we do have to put up listings. We have to do work, but it is nice to make money while you're on vacation. It is nice to wake up to money when you're sleeping. Like it is nice. It is nice. I'm not going to lie about it. So our goal is by the time that we are done with this 3-part series and we implement some of the strategies that work best for us, that by the end of the year, this is what our life looks like. Or maybe it doesn't look like this. Maybe it looks completely different because I don't know what your goals are and where you want to go in your business. But I hope that you'll establish that. So let's talk about, if you are planning on grabbing the planner, like you can go back and watch this and add some of the things that we talked about into your planner, because we have blocks for a lot of the stuff that I'm going to talk about today. I have literally been teaching this similar planning strategy, and I do this with my own business every single year because it's a great time to reset and rethink your business. So the planner goes in conjunction with the training. The training existed long before the planner did. So whether you get it or you don't get it, get a notebook or create your own planner so that you can write some of this stuff out for you and your business. But if you don't have a planner, you're more than welcome to grab ours. So mindset. We talked about the fact that this is your business. You make all the decisions, you run it. All of the things that happen in your business are based off of your decisions, good, bad, or indifferent. It's okay. And you need to extend yourself some grace and mercy, especially over the last 24 months. All of us, we need to extend each other and ourselves lots of grace and mercy. But the biggest thing is I want you to embrace the fact that you are the owner of your business. Whether you have a coach, whether you have a trainer, whether you listen to somebody else's training and you follow somebody else's book, at the end of the day, we want you to be able to think for yourself. That's always the goal. Me as a parent, I'm always trying to teach my kids to think for themselves. I know it's going to take a little bit, but I still work towards you being independent and thinking for yourself and making good business decisions wherever possible. There's going to be a learning curve, and you have to allow yourself grace and mercy on that journey. So today is all about getting focused. It's all about organizing your business and making some decisions in your business so you can move your business forward. So there's always the dream, what we think we're doing in our business, and the reality, what we're actually doing in our business. So the dream is we say, I got a whole bunch of listings. I found the best thing in the world that's going to sell like crazy, and I'm making all this money, blah, 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 blah. Or the dream is I really did work 10 hours in my business, but the reality is you worked 2 hours and you said in your mind, you told yourself you worked 10. So there is the dream of what's happening in our business and the results we want to get in our business and the reality. And you have to separate the two. So in order for us to bring this reality into focus, we have to be honest with ourselves and answer honest, real questions. So if you don't have a notebook and pen, I want to encourage you to grab one now, because I want you to answer these questions for yourself in your business. So how aware are you? Like, seriously, A lot of people that I know, they'll say, well, I sat down and I was listed for 2 hours. So if we actually wrote down the actual number of listings that got put up in 2 hours, was it really 2 hours worth of work? Or was it you focused and you did like 5 good listings and the rest of it, you were scanning on YouTube, you were distracted, you got a phone call, something come up on Facebook, you had to go let the dog out, like really focused, concentrated time. How aware are you of your focus and dedication in your business and what you're doing every single day? You have to be honest with yourself. Are you really aware of what's happening in your business? Do you know how many sales you get? Do you know what your numbers are already for Q4? Do you know what your inventory stats are? I told you in part 1, like we are reassessing all of my inventory to make sure that we have a true good handle. I used to have a system in place and then I got a bunch of help. And so I'm like, okay, we're getting ready to reset. We're resetting and I'm going to make sure that I know exactly how much inventory I have. Okay. And having inventory tools is always great. But again, sometimes you really still have to go through and do a reset. Perfect example of that is Walmart does one twice a year. They actually go through and inventory their stores twice a year. So if they do it, every once in a while, you need to sit down and listen. Okay, let's just start from a blank slate and make sure that we reconcile and everything ticks and ties to what we really do have. If you are not aware in your business, if you're not being consistent in your business, if you're not consistent in anything that you do, what's stopping you? What's getting in your way? What are you being distracted by? That is always the question. Like, what's stopping you from being consistent? What's stopping you from sitting down and doing the accounting side of your business? What's stopping you from sitting down and doing the listing part of your business? Are you being distracted? Is it because of family? You got to take care of the kids. Maybe you're taking care of one of your parents. You know, maybe you've got a dog. Maybe you just have a hard time focusing for extended periods of time. Like I confess, like, look, I am not officially diagnosed with ADHD, but I'm pretty sure I have it. And so I don't necessarily always struggle with focusing, but I do have to be intentional and set little timers so I can be focused for a period of time. I recognize that in myself and I recognize that in my business. And when I actually am intentional, sorry, and I said yesterday, you should always be intentional with your time, money, and resources. Time, money, and resources. That you should write down. Be intentional with your time, money, and resources in your business. And you should also be intentional with your time, money, and resources in every other aspect of your business or your life where it makes sense. Okay. So what is distracting you? And you should write down what is really distracting you in your business. What's stopping you from being consistent? What's stopping you from staying in the business? Like, are you one of those people that you start and stop? Like, I got started in e-commerce and then I list for a couple of months and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, okay, like what's stopping and starting you? Do you have shiny object syndrome? What's getting in your way? How many hours can you commit to your business? Or how many hours do you commit to your business? Now, those are two different questions. There's how many you can. Maybe you really can commit 20 hours a week to your business, but how many do you commit to your business? So you say you're working for 20 hours in your business, but the actual focused, dedicated time, uninterrupted, is more like what, 10? So again, you have to be honest with yourself, peel back the onion, and say, okay, I can work realistically. I could work 20, or I could work 40, or I could work 5. But what I do is actually this number. So how many hours in a day could you commit to your business? Maybe you have some days where Mondays I can work 4 hours, and Tuesdays I can work 2 hours, and Wednesdays I can work 4 hours, and Thursdays I can work, like whatever your schedule looks like. You need to know how many hours per day you can put into your business and which days. And what is the most productive time of the day for you? Everybody has a most productive time of the day, whether you realize it, recognize it, or appreciate it. There is a time of the day that you could put a stack of work in front of you, and your brain is so in tune and so there that you can burn through that work very quickly. For some people, it's first thing in the morning. They literally get more stuff done in the morning than they do in the afternoon. For some people, it's like after having lunch and having some coffee, I can sit down, I can burn through a bunch of work. Or for some people, it's late at night after the kids go to bed. But there is an optimal time of day for everyone where they get, it feels like double the amount of work done in a day. It feels like that. So an example would be for me, one of the things I hate to do is listing. That's the reason why I hire VAs to do listings for me. I'm just gonna be honest, and they use listing software, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, if I had to list, and I can list, if I had to list, my most productive time of the day for me is first thing in the morning. Like as soon as I get the kids out the door, I literally could list for a couple of hours straight without being interrupted. Versus if I had those same 2 hours, 3 hours in the evening, if I tried to list between 8 and 10 o'clock, let's say hypothetically from 8 in the morning till 10 o'clock in the morning, I actually get 30 listings up. Let's just say hypothetically, on whatever platform I choose to be, I get 30 listings up. If I were to take that same 2 hours and I worked on it in the evening, I might get 5 listings up in 2 hours. Now, from a cost analysis standpoint, how much more money am I making by being able to put up 30 listings versus 5? Well, of course, if I have 30 listings up, that means more exposure, that means more potential sales. That means I'm going to literally make more money per hour. At 5 listings, I'm not going to make as much money per hour. So if you have to psych yourself out in your head to say, what I am doing every day in my business is $50 an hour, or whatever I'm doing in my business today is $100 per hour, then you do $100 an hour work. You would not pay somebody $100 an hour to put up 5 listings in 2 hours. That's $200 for 5 listings. The math will never work out. So you have to psych yourself out to be focused during that window if that does not, so you've got to try to figure out, how do I squeeze more time out of my most productive window? So I challenge everybody on this call to go back and look at your schedule and look at what you're doing for the next week. Don't change anything, just look at it and go, oh, well, I guess my most productive time of day is this window. Because again, if you're paying yourself $100 an hour, if I got up 30 listings in 2 hours, that's $200 for 30 listings. Would you pay for that? Or would you pay $200 for 5 listings? Which one would you pay? Another way of looking at it is, if you were to hire yourself, which is what Dave Ramsey always says, if you were to hire yourself, would you rehire yourself back tomorrow? And if the answer is no, then you've got to change what you're doing. Maybe it's the wrong time of day, and that's the reason why you're having a hard time focusing. Maybe you're a person like me, like I have to take focus and concentration supplements every once in a while so that I can focus. And it just works out for me right now. And I'm okay with that. There's supplements on the market and you can just take them, and that way you can focus. Maybe you're having a hard time with focus. Maybe you're having a hard time with distractions. So one of the things I used to do with my kids is I would actually pull out activities. I would have a stack of activities. Actually, my amazing Miss Victoria, she used to take care of my kids. And so she would put together a stack of activities, like 6 activities. And the activities were in little tubs, shoebox tubs. And we would say, okay, you sit over here and you sit over here. So I'd have them in the room with me, but in different areas. So they weren't next to each other, because you know how kids are. He took my toy, he took my block, whatever. Okay. So I would put the stack, and I'm like, you're not allowed to get up unless you have to use the restroom or until you finish all 6 of those tubs. And they would finish the 6 tubs. And in that time, if I needed an hour worth of focus time, if I didn't have any help, I literally could give them those activities that were already pre-made. So I could get an hour's worth of work done, or I could get 2 hours worth of work done. And it worked out for me. So again, you need to figure out when's your most productive time of the day and what's messing up that most productive time of the day. Is it that you have a full-time job? Is it that, maybe you have to do something different with your kids? Maybe you need to pre-prep dinner on the weekends so that you don't have to cook dinner if that's your most focused time of the day. I'm not trying to say still time for your family or whatever. I just want you to figure out what's your most productive time of the day, because that is the best time for you to be working in your business. That's the best time for you to be making progress in your business. That is the best time for you to be most profitable in your business, because you are just on point. Everything about you is running smoothly. Everything about you, you're just able to think faster on your feet. You're able to focus faster. You're able to catch things like keywords come to you much quicker. You're better at editing photos, whatever it happens to be that you're doing in your business. Figure out that most optimal time of the day. And that is when you need to be working in your business. Everybody needs to answer that question for themselves. Okay. And then once you figure that out and you figure out what's distracting you, you need to put solutions in place. So spend the month of January focused on putting solutions in place around that most productive time of the day. So if you have a job and your most productive time of the day is when you're at your job, I get it. So if you discovered that the mornings are really good for you, maybe you decide for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to get up 30 minutes earlier and I'm going to work 30 minutes every single morning in my business. First thing before I go to work, before I do anything else, I'm going to get an extra 30 minutes. And you do that for 2 weeks. And then 2 weeks after that, you add an additional 30 minutes. So now you got a full hour so that you can get that most productive time of day and get a bunch of stuff done 1 hour before you go to work. You take the time from your lunchtime. So maybe instead of taking a full hour for lunch, if you get an hour for lunch, maybe you take 30 minutes for lunch or 15 minutes for lunch, and you spend the other 30 minutes working on your business. Again, figure it out. Borrow time from other places. If you get a break, use that time too. I can remember like working with different people and different strategies. I always had a laptop in my car and it didn't matter. My children went to therapy. I'm gonna shoot all excuses. And I'm telling you, there isn't an excuse you can give me that's gonna work. So I had 2 special needs kids, just me. I had a helper who only worked so many hours a week. And and this is me early in my journey, I would have to take my kids to speech twice a week, ABA twice a week. That's another form of therapy, and occupational therapy twice a week. So I always had a laptop in my car. I bought a charger for my laptop. I had a hotspot, and that was before we had the hotspots. They would let you do hotspots on the phone. So I started in 2014, and I would sit in my car while my son was in therapy. He would do 45-minute sessions, and sometimes he would do an hour session. And I would work in my car, putting up listings, and I would work in my car doing product research and editing photos until it was time for him to come out. I'd get out of the car, go in there, pick him up, bring him back to the car, and then we would go home, or I went to the next therapy session. So then at the next therapy session, I would check him in, and they would take my child, and I'd go back to the car, and I would work for another 45 minutes. So I would work on my business in pockets of time. And that is how I got to some of the numbers that I got to, because I would work on my business. I would call it in the pockets. And people are like, you're doing what? I'm like, I'm working on my business in the pockets. Every single pocket of time that I had available, instead of just sitting in the car doing nothing and scrolling on social media or talking on the phone, I literally worked on my business. And then when my kids went to sleep, because I knew that was not the most productive time of day for me, I would do something else in my business that didn't require me to think as hard, didn't require me to focus as hard. It didn't require me to anything. Like I would do my shipments, because I can do my shipments because I'm physically moving and I'm not having to think. Like when you create a listing, you have to think about the titles, you got to think about the keywords, you got to think about naming the images, you got to think about editing the images. Like these are things you have to think about. And I didn't have the brain juice at that point. So I was like, okay. So I'd print out my labels as soon as I walked home, walked in the door, and I put the food in front of the kids. We sit down and we'd eat. So my labels were already printed. They already had which person was getting what. And then as soon as they went to bed, I would pull out the boxes, take the labels, put the stuff inside each one of the boxes. And sometimes I'd have my son go pull the stuff for me and put it in boxes for me. And then all I had to do was seal the box and put the paper on the outside. So again, I would work on my business in the pockets. You got to figure this out for yourself, but I want you to write down, there's so many different strategies that you can use if you feel like you're not being as focused and productive in your business, but you got to figure out what your focus problem is first. Okay. So how many hours are you planning to work in your business? As you think about 2022, you should write down a number. Like, I really want to work in my business 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. I want to work 20 hours. So write that down so you can put together a goal and a plan for yourself around productivity in 2022. And how many of those hours are going to be focused on income producing activities? So maybe of the 20 hours, 15 of those hours or 12 of those hours are focused on income producing activities. These are activities that actually make you money. So putting up a listing makes you money. Why? Because when a listing exists, someone can find the listing and they can buy the item, thereby you get paid. So going out there and watching a YouTube video for whatever amount of time is not an income producing activity. Shipping an item is an income producing activity because when you ship an item, that means you get to keep the money. The customer gets the product. So if you don't ship it and you take forever to ship and you're really moving slow and like, okay, 5 days later, you're trying to ship this out. What are the chances that the customer's going to ask for a refund? Kind of high, kind of high. So again, shipping an item is an income producing activity. Listing an item is an income producing activity. Sourcing items and doing product research, not initially income producing activities. It's a strategy, but it's not necessarily an income producing activity until the item is listed. Okay. Once the item is listed, it is an income producing. While you're doing the listing, that's an income producing activity. There is the possibility of income by doing product research and sourcing, but you could do oodles and oodles of product research and sourcing and not do anything with that inventory. That's called a warehouse. That's called stuff just sitting in places, and it's not going to make you any money because it's sitting. It only makes you money when you list it. So we want to make sure we're clear on that. What's your budget? If you haven't put together your budget for 2022, you need to think about your budget. What is your budget? What's your plan? Your budget for monthly, for daily, weekly, monthly, if you have to spend money that way. If you are doing a different e-commerce method, like maybe you're doing private label, or you want to do print on demand, or maybe you're doing white label, or you're doing drop shipping, like how much are you willing to invest, planning to invest? Maybe how much would you like to receive every single month? What's your goals, your sales goals, your profit goals? You should be writing these things down. And if you're doing listings yourself, or maybe you're using a listing tool, or maybe you've outsourced to a VA, you should have goals for your VAs. If you have a goal, like you should have a goal that your VA lists X number of items per week or per day. They should exist. If you're not using a VA, your software. So if you're going to use software, maybe you're loading the software is doing the research for you or whatever, or maybe you're doing retail arbitrage and you're going out and buying. Like, what's your minimum goal number of potential inventory that you're going to acquire, or the amount you want to spend? Maybe it's not inventory numbers. Maybe it is the amount you plan on spending each month. So my business partner, Renata, has a spending budget every single week. And she has a spending budget that she shoots for every single week, but she knows if she spends, so hypothetically, maybe she's spending $2,000 a week with the goal that that $2,000 can be flipped and turned into $6,000 or $8,000. So again, she knows that she always has to spend $2,000 in order to get her money back, because she's flipping, raising the price, and getting the items back, or getting, selling the items and making them get the money back. So what kind of goals have you put in place for yourself around sales? If it's not quantity, is it volume? You should have some goals. And then you should measure those goals every single month. Did I meet my goals? If not, you have something to work towards. So another analogy would be like, okay, we already know I need to lose weight. Hashtag facts. We already know this. So since we already know this, like, okay, I know that there are things I have to do in order to make progress on this weight loss goal. I change your eating. I gotta walk, I gotta, exercise or something. I mean, I can only do so much, only because I can barely breathe sometimes. But I gotta walk, I gotta eat differently, I gotta drink lots more water, blah, blah, blah. So I know that these are things I have to do. So in order for me to determine if I'm making progress, I could jump on the scale, I could see if the clothes fit differently, or I could track what I'm doing. I could put it in my journals to see, okay, today in my habit tracker, I actually did drink, 96 ounces of water or 120 ounces of water every single day, and monitor that activity for like 28 days. I monitor it. They say 21, but I go with 28, 35, 42, monitor it for an extended period of time and see where you are from day one to day, if you're doing 35 days, 35. Is it now autopilot that you remember to automatically drink 120 ounces of water or not? Walking every single day for 30 minutes. Like, okay, let's see what happens if I walk every single day for 30 minutes. What was my starting weight? What's my weight at the end of that 35 days? Did I make some progress? Maybe. Eating different. Like, okay, if you're going to do intermittent fasting, they tell you to monitor that. So again, if you're going to do these things in your life, even when you're trying to get your finances under control, they tell you to track it. You got to track your finances. You got to track what's happening with what you're eating. You got to, even when you're doing Bible study, like, okay, we're reading these scriptures. Everybody be caught up. We're going to talk about this. It's all about a level of tracking, monitoring, having a goal, something that you're working towards every single week. So you should have goals for your business. You should have goals around your sales and your listings and all of that. And if you don't, you need to put something in place. So I want to encourage you to write these things down and then think about them so that you can come back and make a plan for 2022. And you can monitor that progress. I can remember one of my friends, like she was trying to get to $350,000 a year in sales on Amazon. Then once she knew that she was going to hit it like in October. And so she was so excited about it. So then in October, when she hit it, because she was monitoring her numbers every single week, she was monitoring her numbers to see how close she was getting to that 350,000. Once she hit 350,000, then she was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead. And from this day, I want to hit 500,000 starting in October to October. Let's see if I hit it. And so then she backed into what the numbers are. How much do I have to have in sales every single week? Again, are you guys doing those numbers? So how much do I have to have in sales every single week to get $500 in sales in a year? So she did the math, divide 500,000 by 52. She's like, okay, this is my threshold. My new threshold as of this date in October is this number. So how many of you are doing that kind of stuff? You want to get to $1 million in sales, $2 million in sales. You got to know what's going on. Some of you like have private label products. How many units do you want to move? So pay attention to that kind of stuff, set some goals. And then once you've kind of thought about all of that, like you should have some numbers that you're writing down. I want to have, these are my goals for 2022 around profit and sales, and around listings. This is my budget, my estimated budget initially. I mean, things change. So I may have an initial budget that I'm starting with that I plan on spending each week or each month or whatever. And so again, focus on those things and keep working towards those numbers, but you've got to get focused in your business. There's reality. There's a dream. This is what I think I'm doing. And this is what's happening in my business. And there's the reality. What are the true numbers? What are the stats? What's the data telling you? The data. That's what you need to focus on. So if you didn't take a screenshot of this, I'll send it to you, but you need to rewatch this because you need to fill this out for yourself. What are your stats? What's happening in your business? Okay. And so as you're going on this journey of trying to figure this out and writing down some potential goals for 2022, because again, I always consider like January is the test month. I'm going to test some things out. I'm going to try a couple of things on. And February is okay, I'm feeling comfortable in it. I'm going to start to settle in. And in March, I'm running with whatever my plan was from March all the way to December. Because sometimes you need to make adjustments. You never know what happens. Sometimes you need to tweak a couple of things. So maybe I have solidified a few things in my business in January, but there's a couple of things that I need to allow a little more time to level off, and then I will solidify them maybe in March. But as part of your journey, everybody should have a business plan, because we are all what? We're running businesses. You're running a business, I'm running a business. And so sometimes we start these businesses and we don't build a business plan. So what can a business plan do for you? Well, one, if you have a business plan, it'll make it much easier if you need to apply for grants. Let me just tell you right now, if you have a business plan pulled together, you can apply for grants much faster, because all you have to do is hand them what? Your business plan. So on step one of this process, back on the other page, like I asked you a bunch of questions. I asked you a bunch of questions about your business. The information and the answers to those questions can be fed into what? Your business plan. An executive summary for your business overall, a description of your company. You're an e-commerce business. Doesn't matter if you're doing thrifting or if you're doing drop shipping, or you're doing print on demand, doesn't matter. You're still running a business and you have a description for that business operation. Market analysis. What's happening? Are you selling a specific product? Are you selling multiple products? So doing some analysis about the products that you're selling. Are you I call it just in time. There's another term for it, but mine is the not so technical term of just in time products, which are products that are going to be selling automatically within the next 2 weeks to 6 weeks. So examples of that would be, okay, Easter and Mother's Day and back to school, like they're going to be selling in a window. And they'll continue to sell afterwards, but again, there's a peak and a valley in it. So are you a just-in-time seller, or are you a seller that sells things that sell all the time? Steady Eddies is the term that I use. Sometimes people call them replenishables or consumables, or just baseline products that always sell all the time. So what's your model? What is your method for your business? So you need to be looking at building for your business plan, have a market analysis, a competitive analysis. Some of you have probably never built a business plan before, ever in life. And so this is your opportunity. If e-commerce is for you, if you went through and did the exercises in part one and you wrote down your why, and your why is still valid and strong for you, and you still want to do e-commerce, build a business plan so that you can use that as you begin the journey of scaling and growing your business. You will need a business plan as you begin the process of scaling and growing. If you want to get loans, sometimes depending on who you're getting loans from, they may ask for your business plan. They're going to ask for information around your taxes. You should build a business plan so you already have it. Okay. A description of your management and operation. So if it's just you, but you just write it out. Okay. If you have a plan for growth, maybe you want to get to a place where you want to hire some VAs, or you want to outsource your operations. Again, write your vision for your business in your business plan. This is where I'm trying to go. This is the reason why I need the money. Break down your products and services. If you have multiple products, if you don't have multiple products, I'm sorry, meaning you're selling maybe a private label product or a white label, or you're in a niche versus selling a variety of products. Okay. Your marketing plan, maybe you have one, maybe you don't. Maybe your marketing plan is to get really good at keyword research. Okay, that's fine. Sales strategy. Again, do you have a sales strategy or do you not? Maybe you don't, maybe you do. But you can look these things up and figure out, okay, how do I write this for my business so that I have a business plan developed? And if it is a situation where you're going to request money so you can grow your business, because again, in part 3, we're going to be talking about growing and scaling our business. One of those things may require funding. So request for funding, what would you do with that money? So before I talked about, okay, maybe you're running the business for yourself, by yourself, and maybe you want to outsource to have a VA, or maybe you want to hire some staff, or maybe you want to outsource to a warehouse, or maybe you're doing subscription boxes. So you really need a bigger and different type of operational setup. So you need to be putting that in your business plan. Okay. And then financial projections. So I talked about, okay, what are your goals? How much do you want to make in 2022? What were your numbers for 2021? Did you make like 50,000, 100,000, 1 million? What were your numbers? And then what are your new goals for 2022 and how much you want to make? You want to double your numbers? You want to double your numbers? Then what is that number? Okay. And what do you have to do every single week to get to that number? So again, I use the analogy of 500,000 divided by 52. That's how much in sales I got to have every single month if I'm going to hit 500,000 in 12 months. So if you need some help and guidance, I feel like there's a bunch of websites that have templates for business plans. There's just a bunch of them. And you can Google e-commerce business plan if you want to, so that you can build, maybe there's like one or two sections that you feel like don't apply to you, but you still need to build a business plan. I feel like the Small Business Administration, SBA, you can go there. They've got a template on how to write a business plan so that you have one. And just hold on to it. It's a great thing to look at every single year and to make sure it's still valid and see if it needs to be tweaked, updated for the new year. If you've like evolved and maybe you've expanded your niche, or maybe you were in small puppies and now you're just in dogs. And so you're covering not just small dogs, you're covering big dogs and medium-sized dogs and old dogs and young dogs and all of that stuff. And so if you've expanded your business because you found the market demand, update your business plan so you have that. But having a business plan is going to help you if you're ready to grow and you need to secure funding, whether it be a grant or a loan, or just having a documented plan for your business. Having a documented plan for your business is never a bad thing. It makes you think about it. It actually makes you think about it. So sit down, put together a business plan, answer the questions that we just went through. There's a whole bunch of questions there. Answer all the questions to the best of your ability and be honest about them so that you can determine where you are on this journey. So there's a couple of different, there's a lot of different business models you could go with, and that's one of the things you're going to write in your business plan. So you decide which business model is yours. And maybe in 2022, you want to introduce a new business model. Like maybe you're doing drop shipping and you want to try that, online arbitrage. Or maybe you're doing liquidations and you're only buying liquidation pallets. And maybe you want to try, print on demand. So you want to write down, maybe figure out a couple of the different business models that makes sense for your business. If you're already doing one and you want to add another business model, make a note. You can put that into your education plan for 2022. Platforms, maybe you're only selling on Amazon and you want to expand and start selling on Walmart in 2022. Maybe you're selling on eBay and you want to get on Amazon. Maybe you want to start your own Shopify store. Maybe you want to explore mobile apps. So again, as part of this figuring things out, what did you do in 2021 and what would you like to do in 2022? So you should be writing down, okay, this is my business model. Either I'm going to stick with this business model or I'm going to expand and maybe try something new. So as you're going through and figuring out, I figured out my business model. These are things that you should have for your business on your journey of building your business plan. Now, some of this stuff is actually going to be helpful as you get ready to scale your business and you hire a VA. So we're going through, like in my personal business, like for my VAs, like we're hitting the reset and we're going back through all training again. We're creating listings. We're going back through all product research. We're going through all of it. So we're going to pull out what I refer to as SOP, standard operating procedures, around research. So what is your research strategy for products? Do you use a tool to do all of your research? Do you have organic research strategies? If you do, you should document those. Because again, as you document it, you can hand that documentation over to a VA or outsource it to somebody or a tool and let them do the research. Like if you're going to outsource it out to a tool, how I would use that is I would write down what I say my research strategy is, and then I would go look at the features of the tool. Does the tool do my research strategy? If it does not, do I have to buy 2 or 3 tools to make it fit my research strategy? Or does it get 50% of the way and I can have a VA do the other 50%? So writing down what your strategy is can convert that document into a standard operating procedure, an SOP, so you can outsource that operation, because we're trying to do what? We're trying to grow and scale our business. That's what we're trying to do. Sourcing strategies. What is your sourcing strategy? You should document that. So if you haven't taken a screenshot, take a screenshot of this page. You should have a research strategy. You should have a sourcing strategy. You should have a listing strategy. You should have a shipping strategy. So your listing strategy, are you using a tool? Are you doing it yourself? So if you're doing it yourself, that's fine. Write down what it is. Where do you want to go? Do you want to keep listing yourself? Are you okay with that? If you're okay with that, that's great. Do you want to use a tool to do some of the listing for you? Do you want to start looking into maybe some cross-listing tools? Do you want to start looking at some tools that do mass listing uploads? So again, what is your listing strategy? So you can have a listing strategy that is your current action steps and activities that you do in your business around listing. And then you can build one for this is where I want to go in 2022. So your shipping strategy. So if you're shipping yourself, again, that's fine. If your shipping strategy is you physically ship yourself, that's fine. You do. In your shipping strategy, you probably have some steps. Believe it or not, you're probably looking for the lowest price. You're probably looking, so you got to figure out, am I going to go with UPS, USPS, FedEx? What am I going to do? You probably have a whole strategy around boxes, or packaging. Like, okay, I need to find the box that this item moves around the least amount. So do I need to order boxes in certain sizes? So there's some strategies around shipping that you probably didn't even think, like, that's not a shipping strategy. Yes, it is. It's documentation about your business, because that documentation can be used in your business plan. So that when you're trying to scale your business, people are like, okay, so you sell products. You're having a conversation with whoever the loan officer is or whatever. And you're trying to get whatever amount of money, maybe it's 100,000, maybe it's 50,000. I don't know what you're trying to get, but they need to understand what you do and your business operation. All of these are going to give your business operations, and you can take these and convert them into SOPs for your VA. So that, or maybe, like I sometimes will hire high schoolers to do shipping for me. My son's a high schooler now, so it's perfect. And so I will tell them, okay, let's walk through this document so you understand what you're supposed to be doing for shipping. So if it's small packages, you need to try and fit, small items, you need to try and fit in these packages. If they're medium-sized items, you have these box sizes. If they're large, you put them in these box sizes. If it's heavy, you use these box sizes. Like, I have a strategy around shipping. You should have one too. So document those things, write these things down. Who is writing this down? Is anybody writing anything down right now? Like, are you writing down what I'm telling you? Seriously. Because I don't want to just like be sitting here lecturing and be like, no, I'm not, I don't see any value in this. No, this is actually going to help you try to scale your business long-term. You got to know where you are so you can figure out where you want to go. So writing this stuff down is going to help you. And again, you can use this information in two different places: in your business plan, or pieces of it in your business plan, and to further develop your standard operating procedures, so that one day you're not doing this stuff. One day you're sitting on a beach in Tahiti or Hawaii or wherever you want to go, and somebody else is running your business, and you have all of your procedures documented, because Nicole said you need to document your procedures so you can get out of the business. See, all of us are working in our business. We want to get out of the business. We want to get as much of our business automated, streamlined, and we need to make sure that the processes work. So let me just tell you another way that you can use your shipping strategy. When you're deciding that you're going to outsource to a fulfillment center, reading your shipping strategy before you decide which fulfillment center you want to go through is going to help you make some decisions. It's also going to help you ask some questions of that fulfillment center, because you want to know what's going to happen if I have an inventory at Amazon, I need to pull inventory back. Like, well, how long will you store my inventory and how much you're going to charge me? Okay. How are you handling returns? What are you shipping my stuff in? How much are you charging me for boxes? Like, which method are you using? Who's your primary shipper? Like, you're going to ask some questions because you have a shipping strategy that you actually documented. So now you can ask more effective questions of your potential supplier that you want to do business with. Okay. Customer service and return strategy. You can use that to help you further build out a standard operating procedure for a VA so that you don't have to handle every single question that comes in about your product and the dimensions, and you don't have to answer every single question when it comes to just basic inquiries, or you don't have to handle every single return or refund. You can give your VAs or whoever, but maybe it's a service, you can give them some of that work to do, and they can follow your procedures. Is it going to be perfect at first? Absolutely not. I'm here to tell you it will not be perfect at first, but it will get better over time and you will appreciate it. So when I have to take something back because I lose a VA or something, I am terribly sad because I have gotten used to not doing that thing. Trust me, like, I don't want to do this anymore. I got to find somebody to fill this spot. And if I wrote all these processes out and I created a Loom video for it, what's going to happen for me? It's going to make my life a whole lot easier training the next new person to do this job. Okay. Hopefully all of that makes sense to you. Hopefully you're like, okay, I get it. Yes, I'm going to do these things. So then you have some administrative activities. You should write these things down. You should write them out. You should figure out what your inventory management, maybe you're using some software. Is all software perfect? Absolutely not. Order management, how you're fulfilling orders. You know, maybe you're using, if you're using Shopify, like they have order management within Shopify. And your legal structure of your business. As you continue to grow in your business, you have to decide what type of business you're going to have. Are you going to be a sole proprietor? Are you going to be an LLC? You're going to be an S Corp? You know, and after you get to a certain income threshold or sales threshold, then you want to start thinking about those types of decisions. What happens if you leave this earth? Does your business die with you? Or did you want it to live on beyond you? And if you want it to live on beyond you, then you definitely need to have documentation. And if you want it to live on beyond you, you definitely need to have some stuff in place so that it has the opportunity to live on beyond you. So think about that. What's your traffic strategy to get more people to see your listings, to get to your listings? Are you spending money on ads, or are you not spending money on ads? And then your education plan. So let me tell you how I use my education plan. And I think I mentioned it yesterday. So I decide what it is that I did, what I do well. So we went through the questions in part one. What do I do well? What I want to change, what I want to do different, what I not want to do anymore, and what do I want to change or improve. So one of the things I want to improve is I do so-so with Facebook ads. I do so-so with Google ads, and I want to get better at that. So I put that on my education plan that these, I dedicate at least 2 hours a week, every single week, to learning something new or developing a skill. So if I'm going to do that, I will break it out on a quarterly basis. The first 6 weeks, I'm going to focus on trying to get better at Facebook ads. My 2 hours every single week. So at the end of 6 weeks, that's 12 hours of focused on doing Facebook ads and getting better at it and making notes about it and studying it and researching it. And then the next 6 weeks of that whole quarter, I am going to focus on Google ads and get better at that. So where am I at the end of 12 weeks if I spend 6 weeks, 2 hours a week, 12 hours, focused, dedicated time on Facebook ads and focused, dedicated time on learning Google ads or getting better at it? Will I be better at Facebook ads and Google ads in a quarter? I hope the answer is yes. And if I'm better at it, if I'm strategic about when I learn it, so let's say I focus first quarter on that, and the second quarter I focus on something else in e-commerce, and then third quarter I focus on something else. I can take all of those skills. If I'm ultimately trying to impact what happens to my fourth quarter, I can take the fact that I got better at Facebook ads and Google ads, and I spent the rest of the next 6 months after that quarter, continuing to practice that so that when I get to Q4, what's going to happen to my Facebook ads game and my Google ads game? Somebody please tell me. What should my game look like? Like I should be much better in 2022 than I was in 2021 when it came to my Facebook ads and my Google ads, because I was strategic about I know that Facebook ads and Google ads are going to take me longer to learn and to get better at and to continue to practice consistently over time. So I'm going to spend a 9-month window. I'm going to focus for 3 months on learning it, and I'm going to spend the remaining 6 months really practicing it every single day continuously, so that when I get to Q4, I have better Facebook ads and I have better Google ads. That's the strategy. And then you could take whatever the next thing that you wanted to learn in your business and spend second quarter while maintaining what you learned in first quarter. So what is the thing that I want to do better or improve or get better at? Maybe it's keyword research and SEO for my listings. Maybe I want to get better at keyword research. So I spend second quarter focusing on getting better at creating better titles, better listings, doing better keyword research. And I spend all of second quarter doing that. So now I've got the combination of Facebook ads, Google ads, and keyword research along with titles and descriptions. So then I figure out something else for third quarter. So do you even have a plan? If you have not put together a plan, again, take this screenshot. You need to write out your plan and your strategy, your goal, your objective. Write it out so that it's real to you. And then put together your plan to execute or implement these things. Your research strategy will be things that you do over time in your business so that you continue to, if your strategy is something that you like, then you'll maintain it and you won't change it. But if your strategy is, I want to get better at XYZ product research, or maybe you want to outsource it, again, that's part of your goal. And use that information that you wrote in your docs to create an SOP, standard operating procedure, so that somebody else can do the research for you. Who is going to use this? Who's going to do what I talked about in pages 1, 2, and 3? Who's going to implement this, or who's going to focus on this for the next couple of weeks so that they really do have a growth plan and a growth strategy for their business for 2022? Because this is what this is all about. This is not about staying where we were before. This is about growing. So who is going to do that in their business? Who is ready to grow their business in 2022? So now that we've kind of gone through and I've talked about a bunch of stuff. So I talked about, okay, so what's your selling strategy? Do you want to add to your existing strategy? Maybe you want to decide in 2022, you're going to add print on demand to your strategy. Or you're going to decide in 2022, I'm going to do some drop shipping, or maybe I want to dabble in some private label. Again, you need to put together a plan so you can start learning that now. So that by the time you get to Q4, you already will have it in place. You're not doing it a couple of weeks before, a couple of days before. You actually have been doing print on demand real time. You've been tweaking it. You've been modifying it. You've been getting better at it. You have dedicated time to focus on print on demand. And you're like, okay, I'm ready for Q4. Deciding on your e-commerce method. Maybe right now you're doing retail arbitrage and you're ready to switch over to wholesale. So now you got to go create some wholesale accounts. Okay. You should be applying for accounts now, but you got to put your stuff in place first before you apply for accounts. But you should begin the process of saying, okay, in the month of, sorry, I have all these alarms. In the month of January, I'm going to put some processes in place so I can start applying for wholesale accounts. What's your shipping strategy? Do you need to outsource to a prep center? Do you actually have a FedEx account, UPS account, and USPS account? Or do you just not have any of them? In my first year, I had a FedEx account, I had a UPS account, and I had a USPS account in my first year doing e-commerce. So you should have those accounts. Now, even if you're using like, Pirate Ship or whatever, it doesn't hurt to have an account too, because there's some perks to that. What's your sourcing strategy? We already talked about, you should write something out. If you're doing retail arbitrage, have you been documenting when stores are closing? Like there was a big announcement, Macy's got a whole bunch of stores that are going to be closing. So, she write that down. There's still some more stores. I mean, there's a big list. I think we're supposed to post it in our different groups. And then clearance, liquidations, what to look for. So what is in the stores right now? Right now, January the 5th, what's in the stores? already. What is already in the stores? You're like, is that a trick question? It's not a trick question. What's already in the stores? Valentine's, yeah. Yeah. Valentine's is, yeah. There's the replay. Yes, the replay is sent to everybody who registered. Yes, Valentine's is one. Spring is already in the stores. They already have the spring stuff. They've already got, if you want to go camping, if you want to go, if you're going on spring break, they've already got some of the spring clothes out. I walked through Walmart slowly and saw the stuff is already out. It's already out, guys. So what does that mean for you? If you're a just-in-time seller, you should be putting out what? Spring. You should be putting out things that people buy in the spring, things that people do in the spring, gardening stuff. People are going to be getting ready to do their gardens. Yeah, I know. We still have a couple of more freezes and snows to go, but the stores have already put it out. That's your hint. It's time to do that. Valentine's Day is already out. Next thing is going to be probably, I'm going to guess in the next 3 weeks, we're going to start seeing some St. Patty's Day stuff. Believe it or not, we're going to actually start seeing some St. Patty's Day stuff. It's just crazy. They normally do about 6 to 8 weeks before. And so, hey, take a cue, take a cue. The spring is going to be here, what, March the 21st? So March the 21st is 7 weeks from now. I think 7 or 8, 7, I think. So we're right there. And what tools do you need to incorporate into your business? Now, let's stop for just a second. This is the time to actually do a couple of things. One, I would encourage you to put on your personal plan for 2022 is you need to unsubscribe from some lists. You can stop getting those emails. My goal in January is to unsubscribe from something once a week. Whatever it is, I'm just going to do one unsubscribe. You can do 2 if you want to, but write down to unsubscribe from an email list that you're not opening their emails, you're not doing any of that, and all it's doing is clogging up your inbox. Go unsubscribe. The second thing is you need to kill some subscriptions. You might be subscribing to something that you are not using at all. You're not logging into it, you haven't touched it, you don't even know what it is, you haven't opened it, blah, 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 and you're paying. So go unsubscribe. The reason I say that is we're going to get to money, but if you annualize what you're spending in subscriptions, and then you go, okay, could I spend that money on inventory? Did I spend that money on something else? So for me, I subscribe to this tool called Goalie for my son, Nicholas, but we haven't been using it. We haven't been using it for like 6 months. I'm like, okay, we're killing that subscription. So I'm going to kill that subscription because I can take all of that money and invest it in something else for my son. I don't have to spend it anymore. So look at your expenses, your personal expenses, and maybe your business expenses. Are you subscribed to a software that you haven't even touched? And you're paying monthly subscriptions for it. Either use it and incorporate it into your plan or strategy for 2022 or unsubscribe from it. One or the other, use it or unsubscribe. So go through your bank account today. Go through your monthly expenses for like the last 2 months. Figure out what's happening. And the things that you're like, I haven't touched this, I haven't opened this, I don't use this anymore. Go unsubscribe and save that money and use it to invest in inventory. If you're planning on using it, then incorporate it into your 2022 strategy. Okay, plan for it. So as part of planning for it, it's all about time management. This is like one of my favorite parts, and it's probably the longest part. So I'm going to give you the short version of this because I've taught this so many times. And it's actually in the planner. Like I built this so that this whole time management strategy works perfectly inside your planner. It does. If you buy the planner, it works perfectly in your planner. But here's the deal. I believe that all the people that I've coached over the years, and I've coached a lot of people over the years, and I've worked with a lot of people over the years, and I've seen a lot of people be extremely successful in e-commerce over the years. But the people who are not successful are the people who are not consistent. The people that are not consistent is because they did not build a real work schedule. That is facts. That is not something that I think, that is something that I know, that I actually have the data around. Like the first time when I sit down with people and we do coaching, like one of the questions I ask most frequently, I don't ask it every single time, but I do ask it often, like, have you built a real work schedule for your business? So I went in the hospital, I had COVID, I got out and I came home and I had the hardest time just trying to get back onto my real work schedule. And I had to change a lot of things about my life because I wasn't able to sit for extended periods of time. I wasn't able to focus for extended periods of time. I wasn't able to do certain things. And I said, okay, you're going to have to find solutions for the things you can no longer do or you can't do right now. You're going to have to find solutions for the challenges that you're having around focus and concentration. You're going to have to find solutions for the challenges that you're having about inconsistency in your business. Now, I'm not going to say that we've 100% solved all of it. We have for my Ecom Sellers Academy people, like we put a bunch of stuff in place. And so my team is like, we're almost 100% there so that we have a whole new level of consistency in Ecom Sellers Academy. But, you know, there was a period of time where there's a bunch of stuff that's not happening because of the fact that I was not, you know, I just wasn't there. And having that schedule as a baseline to come back to was like, okay, this is your routine. Let's slowly get back into the rhythm. Even if, you know, I'm supposed to work an hour on this. So in that hour, maybe I didn't get as much work done, but I did do the 1 hour. So I did the work in spite of. It's kind of like, you know, exercise when you see like in The Biggest Loser when they first start off, like, okay, we're going to do sit-ups. We're going to do push-ups. You start and you're like, oh my gosh, this is the hardest thing in the world. So that's how my life was initially. And then now I've gotten back into the groove of things. I've got back into the routine and things are moving much faster, much better, much smoother in my business. So having a schedule always brings you back to center. It always brings you back to consistency. It always brings you back to being as productive and trying to reach your goal. Some of you may be working in e-commerce because, again, you got to go back to your why. Maybe this is part-time money for you. So you're using it for vacations. You're using it to fund karate classes. You're using it to fund, maybe your kids are going to college and you just want some extra money on the side to be able to pay for college, or maybe you're buying a car. Some of you, this is the full-time gig. So again, you got to treat it like a full-time gig. You got to treat it like a real business. So you got to figure out a schedule that works around your life and your lifestyle and what's happening with you right now. Because our lives change. You have to have some level of flexibility in your business, but there's going to be things that you do all the time that it doesn't matter what happens. You're always going to do them. So one of the things is we get up in the morning and hopefully, you know, we go to the restroom or we get dressed or we brush our teeth or we wash our face, we eat some breakfast, you know, that these are some things that don't change about your life. And then there are things that do change, like your kids may be going from middle school to high school. Maybe you're homeschooling your kids now and they used to go to school. Maybe you're working from home now. You used to work in an office. These are things that change about your life. So you do have to have some level of flexibility in your schedule, but you need to build a schedule. I can guarantee you the schedule will help you to be consistent. It will help you to be successful. And it is going to help you to build the habits that you need in your business to help your business to grow, to help you gain momentum, to help you to make the money that you're trying to get to, if that is one of your goals. So you should build a real schedule around your daily activities for your business. Are you listing every day? Are you shipping every day? Are you sourcing every day? Are you just checking your numbers every day? Are you coming up with product ideas every day and doing product research? What are your weekly objectives for your business? What are the things that you want to try and get done in a week? So maybe once a week, you're going to reach out to one new wholesale supplier. You're going to try and establish one new wholesale account. Maybe you're going to, if you're doing bundles, maybe you're going to create one new bundle a week. You're going to do something, but you need to have objectives for your business, what you're trying to accomplish, because again, you're working towards something that's going to give you a reward on the back end. It may actually give you a headache on the back end. It may be the worst thing in the world, but at least you tried it and you learned from that and you course corrected and you made adjustments. Not everything that we do is going to be successful. Michael Jordan's a perfect example of that. I love the quote about him, like, okay, you know, all of the shots that he took just to get where he was. That's a lot of shots missed. a lot of shots missed just to get where he was. And then what's your monthly goals? So again, do you have some monthly profit goals, sales goals? Do you have monthly units moved goals? Do you have monthly orders process goals? What are your monthly goals? What are you trying to get to? If you haven't thought about these things, you need to write them out. If you haven't thought about these things, you need to build a plan around it, okay? So that you can start the process of building a real goal. So, sorry, building a real schedule. So the schedule is once you figure out, what are the daily activities? I have a shipping activity, I have a listing activity, I have a sourcing activity, I have a customer service activity, I have a whatever the activities are in your business, they should be on your schedule. You don't have to. There's some people that are like that. If I have a bunch of stuff on a page, a bunch of stuff that I wrote out, I feel overwhelmed, I get anxiety, and it's just too much. So maybe you are that person. You need to write down a couple things and you don't fill out a line by line schedule because you feel like if I don't meet every single thing on here, it's going to make me nuts and I'm just going to get anxiety from this planner and I'm just not going to do it. Versus some of you are like, okay, I like to check stuff off. I want everything on my planner. I want everything that I have to do in my business, every single hour, day, whatever. I want it on my planner so I don't forget a thing. And I can go to my planner and I can check stuff off. What's that going to do? It's going to build the habit of consistency. It's going to build consistency, which will build habits by default. If I'm consistent, because I'm going through it. So you're going to build a schedule. And one of the hacks that I use to try and stay on schedule for me is if I know that I have a meeting with my VAs, because I have 2 VAs that do data entry for me in India, and I have 2 VAs that work in e-com sellers also in India. And so I have to manage all of that as part of this journey of running a business and also running e-com sellers. I have to manage both of them. I have to manage my e-commerce business and I got to run e-com sellers. So I have time blocks set up to meet with these VAs. And so my VAs that work in e-com sellers, we meet twice a week for 30 minutes. And because at first we were meeting every single day, but we meet twice a week for 30 minutes. And then my VAs that do data entry in my business, we meet twice a week. One of them is an hour and one of them is 30 minutes because we're working through a bunch of different things. We have different ways in which we communicate throughout the week. And that's a whole nother thing, which I don't want to get into the weeds about VAs, but there's just a process. But in order for me not to forget, because I can get involved in something, maybe I'm looking at some data in a report, maybe I'm looking at some products or contacting a wholesale supplier and I want to see if they make it in red or whatever it happens to be. I put alarms on my phone. What you've been hearing is these awesome alarms that I have that remind me that, hey, it's 9 o'clock and it's time for you to go do XYZ with your kids. So I should be yelling at my kids right now. Yelling, that's really bad. But I should be telling my kids, reminding my kids, like, oh, okay, like, you know what you're supposed to be doing at 9 o'clock. So I just check to see, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? At 9:55, it's going to, or is it, 9:45, it's going to go off again. And so then I will check in to see where my kids are. And then at 10:10, they're supposed to be in the bed. So I have alarms that go off at certain hours or certain times on my phone. And I write in those times on my phone. So if you have an alarm, you have a clock on your phone. If you click on that app for the clock, more than likely you have an alarm option. And if you use the alarm option on your phone, it will help you to be able to set alarms for the things that you need to do. So when you start building the schedule, maybe you have a time block for creating listings. You can set an alarm on your phone to remind you that you're supposed to be doing listings right now. If you're a person that needs to be interrupted because you get so engrossed in things that sometimes time slips by you and you're like, oh my gosh, it's 2 hours later, what happened? So in order to have that pattern interrupt, I set an alarm on my phone so I don't forget. I also build schedules in my calendar, and we'll talk about that in just a second, okay? I use little timers. I get the little kitchen timers from Dollar Tree. They have little kitchen timers, and so there's times where I will set things, set a kitchen timer for 15 minutes or 30 minutes or 20 minutes. So if there's stuff I need to talk to my VAs about, I will literally set the timer for 20 minutes and hit all the stuff that I want to talk to them about and make sure they understand it. And then I leave 10 minutes for us to talk about whatever they want to talk about. Or I do the reverse. Let's talk about whatever you want to talk about, what's outstanding for you. I'll spend 10 minutes resolving those, and then we'll talk about new business. So you figure out how you want to work that. But you can use a timer. If you need 30-minute blocks, I always set it for 25 minutes. It's really not going to be 30 minutes because there's always going to be that I need to get up, do a brain break, go to the restroom, get a cup of water, check on my kids, that kind of thing. So it's really 25 minutes of focus time, but I still get focus time. Same thing with an hour. It may not be a true hour. It may be more like 55 minutes or 50 minutes. So I'll set the kitchen timer and it'll go off. The last thing, there's a couple other things that I do, but the last thing I want to mention is I will go on to YouTube and I will pull up the focus and concentration, like the study videos or the focus and concentration videos. And if you ever Google those, and you can Google them right now, they're like 3 hours and 6 hours and 9 hours. And so you literally could just play that in the background while you work. And so I have found after coming out of the hospital, I mean, I used to listen to them all the time, but now I really, since coming out of the hospital, they have really helped me to stay focused when I need to focus on something for an hour. I can play those in the background and I will stay focused. So if you're a person that's trying to figure out, like sitting down for 1 hour, you feel like you can't do it. You need something to distract you, or you need something to help remind you when that 1 hour is over, you don't want to look at the time clock. Then one of the things that you can do is you can turn on those, turn on those videos that are an hour long and let it just play in the background. And when the music stops and it changes, it's time for you to get up. So then that way you don't have to sit there and watch the clock. You can just work until the noise stops in the background. And it's not really noise. I mean, it's like soft music. It's like meditation music sometimes. So that's one of my strategies I use. If you have a strategy, you can share that in the chat, something you like to do. But these are things that I use. My phone, little kitchen timers. I put notes on the door. You can get an accountability partner. So let me just say this. January 21st, 2022, starts on a Friday. We are going to start the process of rolling out our accountability process. And again, it ties back to the planner. I'm just going to say that. And so if you have the planner and you're part of Ecom Sellers Academy, we're going to do a daily touch base. We're going to talk about it on the 21st, but then we started officially on Sunday or Saturday. We're going to plan each week. So we're going to spend 15 minutes planning out your week, your activities in your week. Because again, you're trying to make progress in your business. You're trying to grow your business, scale your business in 2022. So we're going to spend 15 minutes together. We're going to take out your planner and we're going to plan your week. We're going to answer any questions and we're going to close up the book and we're done. And then each day we're going to plan the next day. So we're going to fill out the planner. We're going to spend 15 minutes filling out the planner. So at the end of the day, at night, you're going to look at your planner for tomorrow and you already know what you're going to be working on for tomorrow in your planner. The other thing is we're going to do monthly planning. So you have the opportunity, again, with monthly planning to plan out what your goals are. Do you want to hit $20,000 a month this month? Or do you want to hit $5,000 a month? Do you want to have, whatever it happens to be? If you're selling a specific product and you're doing private label, do you want to move, 10,000 units this month or 5,000? What is your marketing strategy? We're going to fill in all these places for putting together a plan for the next month. And we're going to assess how was the last month? Like, how did we do? Was the month successful? Was it not? Do I need to make adjustments for the new month? And what goals do I need to carry over from last month into the new month? So it's all about growing as a person, growing your business and scaling your business. The planner is designed to help you to do that. So just put it out there in the universe. So when you build your schedule, I like to use time blocks. And I have a couple of pictures of time blocks. I'll have to find one that I can share. You can go in and make sure that you have time allotted for those income producing activities. The majority of the time, you're going to have these types of activities as an e-commerce seller. You're going to have a listing activity. You're going to have a shipping activity, even if shipping is outsourced to a prep center, even if shipping is outsourced to like drop shipping, your drop shipping products or whatever it happens to be. There is a shipping element of your business. Something is getting shipped somewhere by somebody. So in that, you should always be monitoring what is happening in the shipping part of your business, or if you're physically involved in the shipping part of your business, you should allot time for it. Either way, there should be time allotted for some type of shipping related activity in your business. You are going to be doing some level of sourcing activity in your business, meaning might be product research is below customer service, but you're going to have some kind of sourcing where you acquire the inventory. whether you're ordering it from the wholesaler, whether you're ordering it, you're buying it if you're doing online arbitrage, whatever it happens to be, there is a sourcing related activity. If you're doing retail arbitrage, you're going out physically to the store. So which days do you go out? That should be on your schedule. How many hours you're going to go out and do retail arbitrage? That should be on your schedule. Customer service and returns, you should always have some level of time blocked, even if it's only 10 minutes a day, to check for customer service emails, deal with returns, whatever it happens to be. There should be some time allotted to handle that thing, okay? Product research, that should be on your schedule as well. Learning time or education, I normally block mine for 2 hours on Sunday, so you should have a time block for educational type of stuff. If you're going to do marketing and ads, if you are that person that does marketing and ads, you should have time allotted for that. And then administrative tasks like reconciling your books, looking at your numbers, doing analysis of everything. You should do that. And that is time that you should allot in your business. So these are all things that you should be doing in your business. Who actually has a schedule for their business? Like, you can raise your hand or you can tell us in the chat, like, you actually do have a real schedule for your business, like one that you follow, and that, because I would tell you, like I said, I'd be honest with myself. When I first came out of the hospital, I was not following a schedule, but I would look at it. I first started off looking at like 3 times a week, and I got to 5 times a week. And then I started trying to do my schedule again. And I finally got there. Is it 100%? No, but I'm way better than I was. So it actually will help you to see the progress in your business as well. As you build a schedule, you'll start to note certain things and you'll start to see progress in your business. So this is my challenge to you. Build a real work schedule. Build one that's realistic and try it for 1 week. Tweak it after that 1 week. But you got to build a real work schedule. And then once you build it, tweak it. And if it's something that you think you can handle, then implement it for 90 days and just try it on for size. Try it on, see if you like it, see if it works out for you. If it works out for you, great. If it doesn't, I understand. It's okay. But build a real work schedule. So give me just a second. I am going to try to find my little work schedule thing that I normally have a picture of what time blocks might look like. So hold on. Give me just a second. My son is running and my other son just came in. Okay, so 2 seconds. I'm going to try to find the time block real quick. Oh, I had one. Nope. I'll just look one other thing. If I don't find it, then I'll just move on. Let's see. Sort of stuffy. There we go. Schedule. There we go. There we go. I found one. There we go. Found it. It's taking a second to paste. There we go. All right. Let me share my screen. Thank you for your grace and mercy. Okay. So this is an example of what you might have for a schedule. This is out of Google Calendar. You can use Google Calendar as a perfect tool to be able to use if you want to do time blocks. And so you can set a block of time, even if in that time, realistically, because of your life, maybe you have little ones running around your ankles, maybe you have a parent that you care for, maybe something else has happened. At least you can block the time and say, okay, in this 1 hour, my plan is to do research for at least 50 minutes. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to have interruptions. Things are not going to happen, but I'm going to work really hard to do research for 50 minutes. I'm going to work really hard to try and get all of my shipments or get shipping done or order shipping supplies or anything that's shipping related. I'm going to try to do it in this 2 hours. Okay. I'm going to try and deal with any customer service questions and returns and refunds. And I'm also going to try and reconcile and balance my books during this hour. Now, I would only break those up into 2 different tasks, but you get the idea. So it gives you an opportunity to do time blocks in your business if you want to use a Google Calendar. This is just an option. And this is one way you can do it. There's many different ways in which you can do it, but Google Calendar works perfectly for this. And then you can come back. I color code everything. So you can come back to it over and over again. I've been doing time blocks for years. I've been teaching time blocks for years. It's always worked for me. It served me well. If I showed you my calendar, you would be like, oh my gosh, she's got like 9,000 colors on there. But it works for me. And so I am glad that I have it. So this is what I mean by, blocking off time. And I do it in my most optimal, most productive time of day. So you can see my most productive time of the day is from 9 to 1. So my kids are gone. It's technically at 8 o'clock. And this is not really my schedule, but anyway, mine would really start at 8. And so from 8 to 12, that's what it would be. From 8 to 12, I work like a crazy person in my business, and I get more stuff done in that 8 to 12 than I do any other time. I work with my VAs from 7 to 8. And so I'm working with them earlier in the day, and I'm able to get the things done that I need to get done so that I can check in with them first thing the next morning on the thing that we talked about the day before, depending on when I'll do my touch base with them. So, and I work in my business 6 days a week. I actually do. And I try to take time for my sons and stuff like that. So figure out and build a schedule that works for you based on what's happening in your life. And then try it on for size. As Ted Lasso was like, oh, I'm gonna try this on and see how it fits. So I'm a huge Ted Lasso fan. So try it on for size and see how it fits. And if you don't like it, make an adjustment. Keep tweaking it. Give yourself at least about 3 weeks of tweaking it, and then try to settle in and give it a chance for 90 days without changing it. So test drive week 1, test drive week 2, test drive week 3, week 4, let's go for 90 days. And see what happens to your business in that 90-day window. Compare it to last year. In that same 90-day window, go look at your sales on the platform that you're selling on and compare it. And if it works, I want to hear from you. I know that it's going to work. You're literally going to go, oh my God, like I went from $20,000 a month to $40,000 a month because I followed this stupid little schedule that Nicole was talking about. Yeah, it works. I already know it works. That's the reason why we're doing the accountability thing for the planners. I'm just saying. All right. So some of the other ways in which you can like build your schedule as you're building your schedule. You can build your schedule using mini habits concept. The mini habits concept is one that I love. I use it with my kids all the time. And with mini habits or mini goals, it's like you're doing the simplest, smallest, I had to do it with myself. You're doing the simplest, smallest, easiest goal that you could not fail in. So I'm going to give you an example. If you say, I want to get to doing 25 sit-ups a day. So for the first 2 weeks, we're just going to do 1 sit-up a day. 1 sit-up. I'm not going to fail at it. I'm being consistent. So what's going to end up happening is for the first week, you're probably going to do more than 1 sit-up. But your minimum goal is to just do 1 sit-up, and that's it. Then in week 2, maybe you're going to do 2 or 3 sit-ups. So 3 sit-ups. I'm going to do that 7 days a week. I get there. Then I build up to maybe 5 sit-ups on day 3 or whatever, week 3. So your goal is something simple that you couldn't fail at. For me, walking down the street was such a big deal. I don't know if anybody was following my journey. And I would literally go out with the therapist and with my son on the other side, like we'd have the walker, and it was just a lot. And I was like, I just want to get to the street light. If I can just get to the first street light, that's fine. That's all. I don't know how long it's going to take us to get there, but I just want to get to the street light. So we had to get to the first house. I had to walk past one house and then we went back in the house. We did that a couple of times and we went to the second house and we came back in the house and then went to the third house. And it was all about things that I knew I could do so that I could build up to get to the street light. So if you need to start off with mini habits, if you feel like setting goals is just too much, it's overwhelming emotionally, then start with a mini habit or a mini goal. It's known by two different names, mini habits and mini goals. And something that you know you won't fail at, that you can gradually build up to. Something you can build up to slowly. The second one is habit stacking. So habit stacking is sort of stacking together or putting together related goals or similar goals to help you get more stuff done. So for my son, I also use this concept with him as well. So habit stacking is his habit for the night, or building a habit around it, is him preparing his bedtime routine. So I put together a bunch of stuff in his bedtime routine around making sure your lunch is already made, making sure you have your clothes out for tomorrow, make sure that you brushed your teeth and you washed your face, make sure you put your pajamas on and make sure you take your medication. All of those things are related around a bedtime routine. So we just stacked them on top of each other in sequence so they made sense. So he moves from one thing to the other. So going to go make sure your lunch is done is the first one, and it's downstairs, and he has to come upstairs. And as he comes upstairs, he literally does them in the order to where he ends up in the bedroom when he's done. So he'll go from, okay, I got to walk past the bathroom. So as I walk past the bathroom, I'm going to stop in the bathroom. I'm going to brush my teeth. I'm going to wash my face. And I'm going to get that knocked out. And then I'm going to go into the bedroom. I'm going to get my clothes out for tomorrow. I'm going to put my pajamas on, and I'm going to take my medication. So again, clustering things together so that they are structured in a way that they make sense and they flow with whatever you have to do. And then this is all in the other English. But anyway, King's English, but habit stacking. Then the last one is time blocking, my absolute favorite. Again, it doesn't always work for everybody, but time blocking is, again, blocking certain blocks of time to do specific tasks and to only do that task and nothing else. So if you are a person that you want to establish wholesale accounts and you're like, this is my year, every single month, I'm going to make sure, or every single week, I'm going to make sure I establish a wholesale account. So you put it on your calendar that on Thursdays and Fridays for 1 hour, you're going to contact wholesalers, you're going to do research on wholesalers and open an account. So you put a time block for wholesale on, you put a time block for wholesale on Friday for 1 hour. You maybe only going to work 50 minutes because, again, 1 hour is not 1 hour in my world, just so you know. 30 minutes is not 30 minutes, it's really 25 minutes because I have kids. I had to be realistic with myself. I'm not going to get my stuff done in 30 minutes. I know there's going to be an interruption. One kid's going to be chasing another one. Somebody's going to be doing something they're not supposed to be doing. Somebody's going to be playing with the toilet. It is what it is. So I actually do 30 minutes and I break my things up and I say, okay, I'm not going to do 30, it's going to be 25. But you need to figure out, you may do a combination of all of these. You may do a simple mini habit of, first thing I have to do is I got to get used to building goals. So I got to get used to following a new schedule. So build a schedule that is so simplistic that you can accomplish it. Okay, today I'm going in my business. Today in my business, I am going to list one item. One item. That's it. I'm going to list one item. Tomorrow, I'm going to research one item. So maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you list one item, and Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, you research one item. That is, if you can't do that, then you should not be in e-commerce. You can do that. Now, the reality is, are you going to just list one item in 1 hour or 1 hour in 30 minutes? No, you're probably going to do 2 or 3 or 4. But again, building the habit initially that in this window, what that's doing to you psychologically is, in this window, I am literally going to do only this task in this window. And you're training yourself to get used to, in this window, is listing. That's the only thing I should be doing in this window, is listing. That's what you're doing. Even when you're doing these little mini habits, That's what you're training yourself to do. Habit stacking, putting together things that are similar and that make sense. So in habit stacking, let me go backwards. So in habit stacking, when we were talking about all these administrative tasks, so if I say I'm going to do accounting related activities in this window, that means I'm going to do everything that is accounting related. I'm going to go through and do my audit for my order management and my inventory management. And I'm going to make sure that I have my numbers for my sales and my profits. And I'm going to reconcile my bank accounts and blah, blah, blah. Like I'm going to do it in this window. I'm going to do anything that is administrative task related in this window. So again, if habit stacking works for you, do that. And then time blocking. So blocking off 30 minutes here, an hour here, 30 minutes here, an hour here. Like I said, I would just do the work in the pockets. I've always thought that way. And so if your life was crazy like mine was, because we don't go out like we used to and going to physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, we don't do that. But we did. Then you can figure out how to do things in the pockets. I trained myself to always make sure when I walked out the door that besides having Nicholas's hand, because he was a runner, I had my laptop bag at all times. My laptop bag became my purse. I didn't carry a purse. I had my keys, my ID, and my credit card in my laptop bag. And that became my purse. Everywhere I went, I took my laptop because I knew I was going to be sitting somewhere and I could work in my business. So figure out which one of these you think is going to work best for you. Your goal is to go back and watch this video again. You need to establish some goals for your business. Write them out, get a notebook, write them out, buy the planner, write them out so that you can get going in your business for 2022. We are trying to make changes in our lives. We're trying to improve our lives. We're trying to grow our business. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. Then last but not least, taxes and finances. So one of the things you need to make a decision, there's a lot of stuff that's happening this year around finances. And so you need to be mindful of that. There is a tax session and a finance session. Lysandra is doing the tax session and Delshawn Hayes. So Lysandra is with my home biz tax lady, like home biz tax lady. And then Delshawn is with Hayes Financial Group. And so those two ladies, they have their own session. But this is what I just want to say. When it comes to taxes, I like to create an alternate Gmail account so that all of my invoices, receipts, and everything, I can automatically forward it to that email account. So I'm going to talk through the example. So I would create an email account called NicoleTax@gmail.com. And every time I placed an order with a wholesale supplier, that invoice came back in, they would send it to whatever email account that I gave them, and I would forward it to NicoleTax@gmail.com. Whenever I downloaded reports from eBay or Amazon and they came to whatever email account that they had, I would forward that to NicoleTax@gmail.com. Whenever I ordered office supplies from Staples or Office Depot or whatever, I would get the invoices and I would forward those invoices to NicoleTax@gmail.com. What would happen at the end of a month? Everything that I spent, all of my reports, when I run my reports, download them and send them to NicoleTax@gmail.com. Now, all I have to do is give my accountant the login ID and password to NicoleTax@gmail.com, and they can reconcile January. They can reconcile February. I would create subfolders within my Gmail account so that I would stuff all the January into one folder, all the February into one folder, all the March. You can also download your reports from whatever tool you're using. If you're using QuickBooks or Quicken or whatever it happens to be, you can download your bank statements and email them to yourself. So I would email them to NicoleTax@gmail.com. So my accountant was like, she got everything over here, and I would give them login ID, login to my software. So that's one way of consolidating and streamlining and making it easy for your accountant. You can put that on your schedule at the end of each month to forward all that stuff to your NicoleTax@gmail.com account. That's what you do. Then another thing, and it also makes it easy when you need the physical, like if you ever got audited, all that stuff is in that Gmail account for the attorneys. And the other thing that I do is, like, if I do retail arbitrage, I would take a picture of my receipts with my phone. I did this before people were taking pictures with their phones. Like, I was doing this back in 2013 and 14. I was taking pictures with my phone. But anyway, you write on the receipt when you're doing retail arbitrage, what you're buying and what it's for, and you take a picture of the entire receipt. And if it's a long receipt, you take pictures of the pieces. And then I would email those images to NicoleTax@gmail.com. Why would I do that? It is because of the fact that receipts fade over time. And I wouldn't always remember to scan them in to the neat. So because of that, you can just email them to NicoleTax@gmail.com and you got everything there. It just makes your life a whole lot easier. The other thing that I would do, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I would do, but I just want to give you those tips. So I would encourage you to do those. You need to decide this year, what are you going to be this year? Are you going to still do sole proprietor? Are you going to go to an LLC? Are you going to do whatever? Some of you should have probably already set yourself up with an EIN. So you need to go ahead and do that, because maybe you've met the threshold for the platform that you sell on. So put that on your list for this year. Also, am I going to get a resale certificate? Am I going to get it? In different states, it's different things. So it's a tax, whatever, depends on which state you're in. Like, there's some of it's a reseller certificate, one's a sales tax exemption, whatever it happens to be for your state. Contact your state comptroller to figure it out. But are you going to get that this year? And if so, get it and make sure you're filing your monthlies and your quarterlies, depending on what happens with your state. Track your receipts. I use TaxBot, TaxBot, and it's a great tool. I'm looking at another tool, so I may actually move over, but TaxBot works perfectly for me because you can also scan your receipts. They also keep track of your mileage, which I love. And then you need to keep all your receipts, all your supplies, what you're paying your VAs, if you have VAs, like all of that. Email it to NicoleTax@gmail.com, or it's not Nicole, don't send it to me, send it to yourself. The next one is make sure in your finances that you have a separate bank account. Don't commingle your money this year. And when you hear the session with Lysandra, she's going to talk about it. But okay, if you receive over $600 in your PayPal, your Venmo, your Cash App, your whatever you have, that gets reported, and you're going to get a 1099K or something like that. So try not to commingle money. Make it a point that maybe tomorrow or the next day that you go set up a separate bank account for your separate transactions. Maybe you have multiple bank accounts for your business, but figure that out. If you need to have liability insurance, if you didn't already have it, you should get some liability insurance. Again, different platforms are requiring different things now. So set yourself up like a business and run it like a business. Build a budget. We've already talked about that. You can use software for that, or you can use Google Sheets. If you get the planner, we have a whole budgeting page where you can keep track of your budget, what your estimated and what your actual is. So we have that already inside the planner. And then review your annual subscriptions. We already talked about that. Reconcile your expenses regularly. You should be doing that at the end of each month. So that should be an activity that you engage in for your business. So following a schedule is going to help you gain consistency. Consistency will help you develop habits. Habits will help you build the momentum that you need in your business. You're trying to grow your business. You're trying to develop your business. There goes my 9:45. Those are all alarms. You're trying to do these things. So let's make it happen. This is your year. This is your year. I need everybody to say that. Write it in the chat. This is my year. This is my year. This is my year. You need to put that in the chat. This is my year. This is my year. I'm going to win in e-commerce. I'm going to gain control of my finances. I'm going to grow my business. This is my year. You need to write it in the chat. You need to step into your greatness, because that's what we are often to do. We're going to make this money. So your assignment is to go back and watch this video again. Your assignment is to write down all the stuff that I talked about. And you can grab the planner. If you want to grab the planner, we would love for you to grab it. We're going to start doing the consistency, working on consistency in your business. And we're going to start the accountability on January the 21st so that we can plan out our day, our week, our month, so we can work on growing our business this year. Okay. So with that being said, I hope this was a blessing to you all. I'm sorry we ran for an hour and 45 minutes. I hope that you found value in this conversation and that you got some benefit out of today. I want you to go use this in your business. Invite somebody else to come to tomorrow's session where we talk about building and growing your business for 2021. And with that being said, I love you guys. I love all of you. I get to go. Is there a promo code? There is not a promo code. It is not a promo code. This is my year, y'all. This is my year. So I want you to decide what you're going to do in your business, and God bless you all. And I'm going to say goodbye for now. Bye, y'all. God bless.